You ready yet, Tim?
I'm waiting on YouTube. Them Google guys are not as fast as us Grace Discovery people.
They're probably a Four Sigma company, huh?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. They haven't done the. I don't think we've deployed it at Google yet, have we? So there's.
Well, you know what we've learned in 40 years is that, Four Sigma, I talk about that being the pivotal point. Four Sigma is just average. Companies that are Four Sigma are average. The companies that are Six Sigma are world class. It's a whole different.
There you have it. So okay, you're live, ready to go, Doc.
All
Let me
right.
put in the spotlight. Hang
Let
on just
me
one second.
spotlight Dr. Rankin. All right, let me introduce you. So I'm excited to do that. So Dr. Howard Rankin received his master's and doctoral degree in clinical psychology at the University of London's renowned Institute of Psychiatry. He has extensive experience in the areas of psychology, neuroscience, and communication. He has special expertise in the areas of addiction and is considered one of the leaders in behavioral change. He has written, co-written, and ghostwritten more than 50 books in the self-help genre and is a best-selling author. He has been an adjunct and associate professor at the Universities of London and South Carolina and a clinical director of a leading wellness facility. Currently, he's the science director at a predictive analytics company, a Psychology Today blogger, a coach, consultant, and host of the radio show The Miracle Within You. Dr. Rankin's work has been featured in many media outlets, including the BBC, CNN, ABC's 2020, and The View, as well as in publications such as the Wall Street Journal, the LA Times, Seattle Post, and Reader's Digest. So tonight, Dr. Rankin presents this course called The 7 Pillars of Success, the key ingredient of successful behavior change. So Dr. Rankin, it's all yours.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you, first of all, to Sandra, Tim, James, Ed, and you, Kathy, and also Renee, who introduced me to this. You guys have done an amazing job in putting the Great Discovery together. And what I am talking about tonight in terms of support, mainly about people who are wanting to change behavior, I believe that you have incorporated a lot of these things into your culture, which is why I believe it will be so successful. So let me get straight to it. As you heard, I've done a lot of work in the addictions field and behavior change. And one of the things that very often is overlooked when people are trying to lose weight, quit smoking, quit drinking, whatever it is the notion that I should be able to do this on my own. And that's a fallacy in many ways. What I'm going to be talking about tonight is not just support, it's engagement, it's values, it's respect, it's compassion. We are social animals, and we need to connect in an authentic way, because otherwise, in our material world, what do? We go around with very binary thinking, very set, habitual, conditioned ideas about ourselves, about what's possible. And really, the most effective way of changing those is being surrounded by other people who are supporting you in different ways. So let's get straight into that. We rise when we feel supported. And again, whether that's at an individual level, mentoring somebody, leading a team, caring for a relative, just trying to be better, we need that support. So what are the elements here? Well, first is creating the right environment, the right communication environment. And this is a mistake so many people make. That communication is very egotistical. It's about what I want. It's not an attempt to understand, to respect, and help. It's amazing that communication itself is really not taught in the education system in so many critical areas. I don't believe physicians, for example, are taught about how to communicate. If you think about that, and you think of the impact of that, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So the power of that environment, if you have a respectful environment, how do you feel? Feel, not think. How do you feel when you're welcome, when you're heard, when you are respected, when you walk in and it's warm, it's inclusive, and more importantly, it is judgment free, unlike our minds, because our minds are not those things. We have been conditioned to think in particular ways about who we are, what we can do, etc., etc. And that's very misleading. Very misleading. And of course, the way we view ourselves, we assume everyone else sees us that way too. And so if we've done some dumb things, like I have, and you've experienced shame, humiliation, disgrace, you think everyone, first of all, knows about it, and secondly, thinks you're an idiot and don't want anything to do with you. That's not the case. But the only way of finding that out is by mixing with the right people. And the tendency for most people is to shut down and miss out on that opportunity. I know so many people. I did work for Take Off Pound Sensibly, which is a weight loss support group, for a number of years. And I had so many stories. People said, oh, I just dreading going to my first meeting. I knew I'd be ridiculed. You just took me. I almost didn't go in. And then I walked in and people were welcoming and they just accepted me in a way they did not accept themselves. So that is huge. That environment, that acceptance, the unconditional acceptance. Because when people feel that, which is not necessarily, unfortunately, a common feeling, but when they feel that, some of those barriers, some of those walls, some of those conditioned lenses begin to change a bit. Begin to change. A lot of behavior change, you can't talk yourself out of it. You can't say, okay, well, I'm going to go on this diet and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to quit drinking and I should be able to do that and stop and that'll be the end of it. No. First of all, habits, including thinking habits, have a neurological structure that needs to be broken down. You can't just stop. But that's what people are expected. Oh, should be able to stop, should be able to lose 10 pounds the first week. Nonsense. Nonsense. And so an authentic group with acceptance, with the right environment, allows somebody to let go and see things differently. Can you imagine, can you remember a time when somebody accepted you when you were at your lowest? How did that feel? I went through that. I know that. It's amazing. It's amazing because you just assume nobody is going to want anything to do with you. And this is really important. This level of creativity, of changing your mindset, not just an idea, but being engaged, being motivated, not even motivated. It's really critical. And what happened to me after I went through a very difficult time, and I didn't know what I was going to do. That was the story about me losing my license. Was in the front page of the newspaper in the state and locally, where I'd been a paragon, and now I'm a pariah. What am I going to do? And here's something that you need, that I now tell people, because this was a turning point. When you're in a difficult situation like this, here's the question you need to ask yourself. if this were the best thing that ever happened to me, what would I need to do? That was the question I asked. And I figured, okay, I want to help people. I like to write. I like to coach. I can still do all that. And amazingly, as I started to do that, I came across several stories, numerous stories of people who had experienced miraculous change. And I now have a radio show called The Miracle Within You that looks at how, when we create the right mindset through getting support of that, when we create the right mindset, amazing, amazing things happen to us. Unbelievable. People, numerous people, all unrelated, different conditions, cancer, heart disease, told you're going to die in 2 months. None of them died. They all thrived. What? Some of the stories are remarkable. The physicians say, I have never seen this happen. I can't explain it. I think I can explain it. Because one of the things that happened when I was going through this and suddenly finding all these miracles was I came across the work of Dr. John Leaf, who writes about the communication of the cells within our body. It is mind-blowing how the different cells in our body communicate. And when you are energized, when you have the right mindset, when you have the right energy, I believe that communication lights up and all sorts of amazing things can happen. And in one particular case, a woman who needed a heart transplant, after she came out of a coma, her heart was completely restored. Like one of a 20-year-old was the heart they would transplant. How? Because she was, don't need to get into that right now, absolutely engaged emotionally. And I believe that happened at a physical level too. So that is a very critical part of the support. Now, what other things are there? Accountability. We need to be held accountable. That's why it's difficult to do it on your own. You can always find a reason. Oh, well, you know what? I've been doing well, so I can take the weekend off and eat what I want or whatever. We need accountability. I work in a great recovery group for guys who've been hooked on porn, and they have accountability partners, and it's fantastic. If they're struggling in any particular moment, you can call up an accountability partner, and somebody else will say, okay, come on, you know what your goal is. This isn't just cheerleading. This is saying, remember what your commitment is. There's a great quote that I really have quoted numerous times. It is, a friend is someone who knows the song in your heart when you have forgotten the words. And that's what happens in a support group, because very often, periods of time, we're going to forget what that word, what the lyrics of that song is. We also know that, as well as accountability and acceptance, adaptation. Life is about adaptation. We have to adapt all the time. Not necessarily positive thinking. I would say adaptive thinking, resilient thinking, commitment. We need to be reminded. We need to be nourished in that view. We don't need to judge people. And we need to show examples of people, hey, who are in this situation and they made it out. Wow. If you go into a group and suddenly you see people who were in your position 2 years ago and now they're doing great, there's no better example than that. So another very important thing about a support group is it gives you examples. It gives you hope as well as inspiration. And adaptation, it is a dance. It doesn't always go in a straight line. Things happen. We have to adapt. You got somebody there to help you? Wow, pretty amazing. And we have to adapt our thinking, because our thinking is very conditioned, it's very habitual, it's very simplistic. And I really have embraced this concept of quantum thinking, which is trying to look at things from many different angles. Don't have to accept them all, but at least open your mind to the possibility. Like, what would I do if this were the best thing that ever happened to me? Most people don't think that. They go into victim mode, which honestly is the worst thing you can do. It isn't that you haven't been treated unfairly. No, life's not fair. But the question is, what are you going to do about it? What is the action? So you need to change that dramatically. And a key part of support is that inspiration, the fuel that keeps the fire going. A lot of this isn't really, some of it's practical, but a lot of it's emotional. People sharing their wins, their scars, sharing similar experiences, sharing the tools they use to overcome that. Very important. And one other thing that is key is that when you're in a support group and you're getting support, you also have the opportunity to support other people. I created a course on what's called a dopamenu, which is a menu of activities that create dopamine that could keep you engaged. And so there are some obvious ones, things like exercise and so forth. But one of the biggest things on a dopamenu is really connecting with somebody, really making a difference to somebody. That's inspirational. That's uplifting. So let me give you an example. Let's suppose it's Christmas Day at your house and your family are there, your kids are there, your grandkids are there. What would you get more satisfaction from? Opening a Christmas gift for you that was something you were looking forward to, or watching a family member open one of your gifts and be excited about it? I think most people would say watching other people get set, seeing the impact I have on somebody else. That's what it's about. And so, we're running out of time. These support factors are really, if you think about them, the fundamentals of humanity. Non-judgment, humility, respect, caring, love. And interestingly, there was a scientist, Dawkins, who created a list of vibrational frequency and consciousness. And the highest frequencies at the top of that were love, compassion, respect, all of these things. And at the bottom were things like anger, frustration, stress, and actually right at the bottom, shame. This is about practicing those virtues, about being open enough to help people. And honestly, I don't think there's anything better than helping someone. It's been the most satisfying thing about my career when somebody comes up and says, Dr. Rankin, I just want to tell you how much you helped me, 10 years ago, or whatever it was. Wow. That's what it's about. That's what this program is about, which is why I'm so engaged in it. That's what we're doing. We're engaging. We're inspiring. We're showing. We're helping. We're leaving the ego behind. That's not what it's about. Unfortunately, we live in a world which is a culture, which is ego, 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 push, push, doing, 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 doing. There's a distinction. I wrote about this recently in Psychology Today. A big distinction between doing and being. And in a support group, that's a lot about being. So, those are some of the things that I mentioned in this course. And I do think it's really relevant listening to Kathy today talking about describing the history and the evolution of Six Sigma and the Great Discovery. You can see how these themes overlap. It's what we all need. But we don't want to admit it, perhaps. But those are the things that are really powerful. As a behavior change expert, I know how powerful this is. And, not having that at all, just trying to do it on your own, it's tough. This makes a difference because it gives it meaning. And on that note, I'll shut up.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Rankin. What a great presentation. So many of us were like, yes, we love this. So I'm going to open it up for questions. I do have a question for you, though, while we're waiting for people. I love everything you said, and it is so integral to what we do in the Great Discovery, because we talk about a dream team, which is really a support team, right? People that you can be
Absolutely.
accountable to, people that will help you stay accountable to your goals and make those breakthroughs. Let me ask you, what is your recommendation for finding that group of people? Because lots of people ask that. And how do you, because you can live with people who bring you down because they're in their own
Right.
space, right?
Yes. Yeah. And in the course, I go a little bit more into, there's group support, which is really what I was talking about there, but also at an individual level, what you can do to help people and people who find you. It's really the same sort of thing, but, slightly different dynamics. But the same principles really apply. I think if you want to help people at an individual level, one of the mistakes people make is they try to be a little too pushy, like somebody's trying to lose weight and they'll say, oh, let me tell you what I did. You need to do this and you need to, well, wait a minute, just you did it that way. This person may not. So if you want to give support, you need to talk to them in an authentic way and say, how can I help you? How can I help you? What do you need? The person might say, oh, well, I go for a walk, 4 times a week, perhaps a couple of times you could come with me, or whatever it is. So don't assume you know what somebody needs. Ask them. But the same principles apply, inspiring people, helping them. And, amazing stories. One of the top stories that I have is there was a woman, she was invited to come out on a walk, and she was very resistant. And eventually Bob Cady, who at the time was the president, and she was part of this group, talked to her and said, come on, let's just go a little bit, And the woman walked, and it was her first steps in losing 200 pounds.
Wow.
And if Bob had not said that to her, would she have lost it? I don't know. And I did the same thing with one woman who was very reluctant to walk. I said, look, the first thing I want you to do, just walk to your mailbox and back. Okay. And then after that, you can stretch it out. And she did that. And within 1 year, she was a competitive race walker. People don't know the power they have. They don't understand the miracle within them, that when other people can bring that out of them and support it, amazing things happen.
That's wonderful. Good, Tim. You're on mute, so there you go.
Yeah, hey, Dr. Rankin, that was phenomenal stuff. I was just kind of sitting back there and absorbing that. And, I spent so many years in working in ministry and recovery, and that was exactly the same principle. It's the accountability factor is so essential. And I appreciate you coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about your courses and, what you've got up? And do you provide consulting services as an outcome?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what you got going.
So I've just started getting going. So I have a free course on the 5 keys to behavior change. I have this premium course on the 7 pillars of support. I have another course that's coming up on overcoming shame and disgrace. And I have another course coming up on really for people who consider themselves functional alcoholics, people who are at the edge, won't admit really they got a problem. They can get by, but actually they're just kidding themselves. So those are the things, and I will have more in due course, but those are the ones I've got planned.
Now, do you do any consulting or counseling or anything on so is that like an academy offer that you have up
Yes.
for any? Fantastic. That's
Yes.
great. I'm looking forward to promoting you. Renee, we got time for one more question, and we've got, so let's see what we got.
It's not a question, it's just a commendation because you have done an exceptional job. I'm thrilled to have you as part of my team on the Great Discovery as a whole team because we are not separated from any of us. We are all one and it's a family, and I'm really grateful to have you as part of mine. You just did a phenomenal job. I've been blessed to be interviewed by you on your show. It's a tremendous show. Your work is so needed in this world, and you just did a great job. I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you, Renee, and thank you for that support. And I would reciprocate too and say you've done a great job in getting a Great Discovery out there and recruiting people like me. And I'm thrilled to be part of your team. I really am.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, everybody, you heard it there. Go check out Dr. Rankin, Dr. Howard Rankin. You can find him on the Great Discovery, free courses, premium courses, consulting services. Get out, share some of his courses, and take it yourself. It's there. I don't know about you, but I think of every one of us, myself included, going through first order changes, getting kind of stuck with something, bouncing back. You feel like you're tied to a post on a stretch cord. You run out, you think you're out there, and next thing you know, you snap back. And this is some breakthrough information that I can assure you absolutely works. So what's coming up here tonight? We've got, as most of you know, the Great Discovery. We are winding down phase 2, and including with that our Unlimited for Life course creator option. Unlimited content for life, one-time price. Nobody in the industry has anything like it. And we set it up for early adopters that were coming in. This is going to be closed off Saturday at the close of the Discovery Saturday session, where we're going to be doing big reveal on new packages, new bonuses, new services, new focus, a lot of the new things that are on there. If you haven't come on any of the Discovery Saturdays, they're every Saturday, the first Saturday of the month, and this one is special. Get as many people as you can out there. But more importantly, we're going to be talking about tonight will be pretty much one of the last real focus presentations on the course creator option that's out there with this pack. So if you can think of anybody that you really want to share, somebody, like Dr. Rankin or anyone else that really needs to get a great platform, we will be, God willing, the most significant move into the e-learning community in world history. Literally, there's nothing like what the Great Discovery is doing. Will we stay there? Well, we're going to keep innovating. We're going to keep changing. We're going to keep growing. So I hope so. But right now, there's nothing like the Great Discovery. And as we're moving into phase 3, it's a great move for them. See if you can get them on right here, bottom of the hour. That's going to be 9:30 p.m. Eastern, just a few minutes. And that is going to be hosted by Dr. Ivanka Farabee. And right here, same meeting, same place. Send your link out to somebody else. Coming up also tomorrow night, as we're going through this big shift, we're going to be doing the live preview of the Global Affiliate Kickoff. Now, phase 3 is all about reaching new learners, and to do that most effectively, to differentiate us from all the ones that just use SEO and computer search options, it's people telling people, and people actually being able to create an economic opportunity as they're sharing education while they're learning and transforming their lives. They're upskilling, reskilling, changing. Instead of going out and getting a second, third job to be able to pay for their education, now they can simply refer others to other content as well. So the affiliate program, as we're going global, we're going to be introducing new tools. You're going to get a sneak peek at it tomorrow night. That's Thursday night, right here on the same channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. And with that, I am going to close out our session tonight. And I do thank each of you. Thank you, Dr. Rankin, for coming in. You're absolutely amazing. And go share and put a couple of posts up on Dr. Rankin's course, get the word out, let people know. You know, I always look, if you're looking as an affiliate, sharing course content is really powerful. And some of the things that we do will often go up, you know, what I talked about Monday night is, you know, I found a great course that I really like by Patrice Porter, teaching kids gardening techniques. And I'm going, wow, that's really great for kids. So I went out and I posted it out to a bunch of homeschooler groups. I got hundreds of links to that, you know, so it's you can do the same thing with different support groups that you find that are similar. Share Dr. Rankin's free course. They don't find it too intrusive anytime you're giving away free content. And you've got a new referral that's on there as well. So spread that information out. It's easy to do. It's easier not to do it, but you don't get the same results. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump it over to Dr. Ivanka Farabee coming up for our next session. Let me stop the clock, Doc.
Howdy.
It's all yours. Give me just 1 minute and let me stop the YouTube